Welcome, super friends, to the Wednesday edition of the Sacred News and Weather. I am laughing because I just got out of meditation for our collective today, and my guides had a really great sense of humor. So I'm looking forward to sharing our message. It's going to be a quicker one today because I am having a very busy day. Uh, but the first thing I want to share is that I think I'm experiencing my first spiritual troll or trolls, and I'm absolutely delighted. I got into meditation and I was like, okay, show me the collective. What is happening in my YouTube collective? And the first thing I heard was, ugh, it's so cringy. And cringy is not a word that I would ever use. And I was like, oh, what is that? And what I saw, I have a feeling I know the where the source of the judgment, but it had the sum total of making me laugh because I'm like, oh, if I have spiritual trolls, I've arrived. Um, to me, it's really about me showing up as my authentic self and being judged for it, in our world of polished, AI curated, beautiful, perfect marketing plans and show up looking a certain way. I'm just showing up on a Wednesday afternoon in my yoga pants and my sweatshirt and doing my thing. And no, it's not curated. No, it's not polished. It's me showing up. And if it's cringy to you, I'm fine with it. I am not going to stop showing up as myself. And I feel like, especially in the direction that this world is going, where everything is going to be artificial, the more humanity I can bring into this work, the richer and more authentic it's going to be. So I am delightedly cringy to some people, and I'm kind of celebrating it, if you want to know the truth. The second piece I want to share before I start channeling is well, actually, no, it was part of the message. The Beastie Boys came forward today. The first thing I heard after cringy was "Listen, all y'all, Sabotage," and I was like, "Ooh, where are we going?" And what I did was I ended up drawing some cards. So when I post in Facebook, I'm going to post a screenshot of my altar with the cards that I drew for this reading. So as with anything I do, take what resonates, leave the rest behind. If this is not your message, you can turn me off. Scroll down below. I'm sure you'll find something that is for you. These messages are timeless. So whenever you're tuning in, whether you are tuning in live on Wednesday, oh, I realize I didn't close my sliding glass door. So you might be hearing some street traffic. I apologize. Um, these messages are timeless. So whether you're receiving it in real time or finding it later, a week later, a day later, 2 years later, just trust that if you're tuning in, there's probably going to be something here for you. So stay with me. Again, I think this is going to be a little bit shorter today because it's just a busy one for me. So I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes and I'm going to go right back to listen, all y'all, sabotage, because what I saw was it was like literally a horse-drawn wagon. Now, to be fair, I was watching Narnia with my kids, the first movie last night, and there's a lot of horse or animal drawn vehicles in that movie. So I saw an image of the chariot, which to me means that we are moving forward. Like we are, like it's the fastest moving card in the whole deck. And it just means that we are barreling toward a destination, hopefully a destination that you desire. Hopefully, what I'm hoping for you, what I'm wishing for all of us is that we are barreling toward our highest unfolding, our next timeline. We are barreling toward change. And what happened was I was like, you know what? I want to make this a little bit easier. I don't have a full half an hour, 45 minutes to meditate on all of this. So I just drew some cards. And don't you know, the first card that I drew was the Chariot. And the last card that I drew was the Death card. So there we are, death and rebirth. I don't see death as a literal death, an actual end of life. For some of you, that may be the case. For others of you, what I am seeing is the end of one timeline and the beginning of another, which is where we have been energetically as a collective. I feel like we are all really in that fall energy of letting that which is no longer serving us fall away so that we can begin moving toward our next destination. We can be moving toward our next timeline. So all of that tracked. So I was like, okay, like here we are, and I heard sabotage, and the card that I associate with sabotage actually came forward. Sorry, I just heard. I heard don't tell them that yet. What would you like me to share first? So I what I'm being told is to just take more time before I get to the sabotage part. So I will. So the two cards that I drew before the sabotage card were strength, which I have also drawn for this collective before, and I've talked about it here, where the strength card means like that cowardly lion, that courage piece. But it can also mean like digging in your heels, that stubbornness. So for some of you, that strength is like embodying your, like putting all of your effort, all of your energy, really gathering all of your courage to continue moving forward on this journey toward your next timeline. But for others of you, I saw like the horses digging their hooves in and slowing down, and like that stubbornness. So strength, the strength card can work for or against you, and I feel like that is part of where the sabotage comes in, is in that like really digging your hooves in, really slowing down progress, like bringing everything to a halt, and prematurely, because you are afraid. So the fear was palpable in here again, and it's been up for all of us, whether you are feeling your fear and doing it anyway, or whether and taking a giant leap, or you are moving in baby steps, as we've talked about these last two messages, or whether there you are barreling down and all of a sudden your insides, whether it is wounding or a true intuitive hit that's like, whoa, Nelly. Stop, and you're using all of your strength to drag that chariot to a halt, or you're using all of your courage to keep driving forward when your fear is telling you to stop. And there's an element of discernment that really needs to come in here for you. Now, discernment can be tricky because our minds will often go toward the negative, while our intuition will often lead us toward where we are meant to go. And how do you know the difference between the two? You know, I was on a call yesterday with not a client, with actually someone who I am talking to about some public speaking engagements. And at the end of our conversation, he was telling me, he was very, very sweet. He was telling me about a woman that he was with very briefly, but she made a lasting impression on him. And he had a feeling that he was supposed to move toward her. And he felt like it was an intuitive hit that said that he was supposed to move toward her, but he didn't know. He asked me, how do I know the difference between my intuition and a story my mind is trying to tell me? And so, what I'm going to suggest to you around that art of discernment, that art of determining whether it is your fear that is trying to halt you in your process, or your intuition that is actually telling you, stop, this is not the right path. Here's what I will say. Intuition very rarely leaves you feeling what I would call anxious or bad about yourself. It rarely, our true intuitive hit, rarely ever sends you on a spiral into your head about all the things that could go wrong. Usually, if you have what you think is an intuitive hit and it's bad and it's no, don't do this, and you start thinking about it and you start thinking about all of the reasons why you shouldn't do it, it's probably not going to be your intuition. It is very likely going to be your fear, your wounding, trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you stuck in what you already know because it's afraid of what it doesn't know. A truly intuitive hit, whether it involves something that seems easy or something that seems difficult, it is very rarely going to incite fear in your body. It is very rarely going to incite what I would say again, anxiety. I don't like to use the term anxiety because I try and steer away from negative labels for feelings in our body. Sorry, I just heard something else. I will get there. Um, what I will say is that intuition will often, if it's a big leap that you're about to take or it's a big change that you're about to make, it usually leaves you feeling excited, like nervous and excited. I'll use the term nervous-sighted. It comes from my teacher, Brianna Borton. She used that term all the time, nervous-sighted. So intuition will allow you to feel like a hearty yes in your system with a side of, oh shit, like, can I do this? Can I actually do this? But it's usually a good feeling that it overcomes you when you are getting that intuitive hit. When you are getting a no from your intuition, it's going to be clear. It's not going to be no, but is it really? Should I? It's not going to incite more questions from you. It's not going to bring you up into your head to have you create storylines. It's going to be a no, and it's going to be clear, and it's not going to make you feel uncomfortable beyond the discomfort of having to have a difficult conversation. In your body, there should be some sense of relief if no is no, and some sense of like nervous-sightedness. If the yes is a yes, but it's a big change, it's going to be like, oh shit, but yes, rather than yeah. It's not. Intuition rarely makes you feel bad about yourself or bad about a situation. So I hope that helps you in discerning whether you're using strength to move yourself forward or strength to like halt you in your path, in the path that you're actually supposed to be on out of fear. I hope that makes sense. The next card that I drew, which has also been a card that I've seen here lately, is the Emperor, which is that divine masculine energy. Now, divine masculine, you hear the word masculine, that doesn't mean necessarily mean male. I don't read energy for gender here. We all have divine feminine and divine masculine within us. It can represent some of my male followers, but it can also represent the more masculine side of my feminine followers here, where you're being asked to really be the benevolent ruler of your empire. To really, when I feel into the positive of the emperor and where we're going, like you're building your empire, but you're building it from a heart-centered place of oneness for all. So toxic emperor energy is that selfish, it's like self-serving, it is self-indulgent, it wounds others because it's grabby. It's like that grabby, 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 grabby power. What we're being invited into here is that true benevolent leadership. So that benevolent empire where there's an understanding by the leaders, by leadership, by the way you are leading yourself, that you are coming from a heart-centered place with the understanding that we are all one, and you are going to rule your empire, run your empire, create your new empire if we are barreling toward a new timeline from a place of knowing that everything that you do, every choice that you make affects not only you, but everyone else around you. Therefore, as the benevolent leader, as the benevolent ruler of your own empire, as the benevolent ruler of your own energy, you are going to make choices that are healing and serving yourself, but also healing and serving of the others. So we're being invited to use strength and to use that forward momentum of the chariot. I keep seeing a triangle, like a moving forward energy. And I just heard, this is what I heard earlier, and now it makes sense to me. I will tell you in a moment. There is an element of, as we're driving forward and creating this triangle, like there's an element of being pushy, which feels like that emperor energy out of balance to me. It feels like you might be trying to like push your own agenda on someone or someone's else. And it's not that it's wrong, especially if it's coming from a heart-centered place, but we're being invited to like not push our energy forward. This is what I was seeing earlier where I was like, what? But we're being invited to just bring energetically the triangle this way so that we are leading from ourselves and not necessarily pushing our energy out here, but really strengthening our own foundation, strengthening our own being, and then moving just without being pushy, without being pointy, driving forward, but driving forward, the feeling is more like a widening of your energy. So, like almost like a hug. So, moving forward on your new timeline, moving forward with your agenda from this place of strength, releasing the fear, and almost moving forward to like hug the new empire that you're building, to hug the new people coming into your life, like making your energy really wide and deep and not so pointy and pushy. I hope that makes sense as I do this. Hmm. So now we get to the sabotage for real. So the only minor arcana card that I drew today is where the song I feel like points to. Though the strength card is a more global and actually more powerful card where we can be self-sabotaging. I drew the Five of Wands, which it's fives are inherently change. They are usually a time of difficulty and discomfort. And the Five of Wands is actually a pretty benign card. It's usually a bunch of boys fighting with like switches, with like long pieces of wood that they're fighting with. It is a fire sign, so it's like fiery banter. And sometimes when used positively, it can like really get dialogue going. It can really like stir up differences of opinions, but in a way that moves something forward to the six, because the next card is the victory card. It's the Six of Wands, which I'm realizing now I drew like four times this morning in my own meditation, which is really interesting. But at the five, the boys are like kind of in battling and they're trying to figure out who's the leader, who's going to win. But the way it registered with me was self-sabotage. So some of you have behaviors, have patterns, have wounding that, like, as soon as you are moving forward with your life, as soon as you're like, yes, I'm on this new path, I'm committed, I can do it, it's like the old patterns want to rear their ugly head, the old habits, the very things that you're trying to do away with, the very things that you're trying to leave behind come out and are like drink me, eat me, do this. Like it's like you can just feel the temptation from the card in just like kind of a creepy, oh, sorry, I also didn't turn off my phone, in a creepy sort of like self, self, still getting phone calls from my boyfriend, potential spam. He calls me all the time. He's like the most faithful boyfriend there ever is. He always wants to talk to me. He always checks in. I'm putting my phone on sleep. Maybe this is the cringy piece that that I was hearing from the energy. Anyway, the Five of Wands, the way I read it today, it was coming through as like all of your little bad habits trying to come through and say like, drink me. I don't know if anybody has seen what is the musical with the puppets, Avenue Q, with the bad idea bears, like the Five of Wands to me feels like the bad idea bears. They're like snuggle bears from those commercials back in the 80s and 90s, and they're like, take her home, screw her, drink that, drink too much, get drunk, do drugs. And like that's kind of what this vibe was from this card today. What I will say is this, like the feeling is the chariot strength, the death and rebirth card, everything is trying to drive you forward into your next timeline. And you have a choice whether to jump back in with the bad idea bears, whether to jump back into that self-sabotage, or to let them be just the little boys with their switches having fake sword fights on the playground, and to let them create their chatter and to keep moving to get to that Six of Wands, to get to that place of victory, to get to that place of leadership, to get to that place of success on the path that you truly desire. I feel like there's more that wants to come through here about the Five of Wands. So I'm just going to be quiet for a minute. Yeah, no, nothing is coming immediately. Just going back to the song, coming back to the sabotage song. Yeah, we you don't You don't need to self-sabotage. Like, this is your invitation to get off of that loop, to let go of all of the patterns that you have traditionally allowed to get in your way of progress, to get in the way of your highest timeline. And the self-sabotage can be substances. It can also be those fears. It can also be like we've talked about this before, and what I'm hearing now is like turning to other people who don't actually know where you're going or who you truly are and asking them for advice and then taking that advice, or coming out of your embodied feeling of this is where I'm going and getting back into mind and letting your stories take your power away. So we're being invited to let all of that go, to let the bad idea bears go, to let the storylines go, and to really feed into the courage, into the strength, into the benevolent, heart-centered leader of your own self, leader of your own highest unfolding, really tuning into that emperor in his highest power, her highest power, and allowing that change, that rebirth to happen. And I think we are complete. So I'm going to say thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and share and subscribe. Tell your friends. Comment below. I'm happy to see comments. I love seeing them. If you're one of my trolls who thinks I'm cringy, thank you for making me feel seen. Um, and if you're one of my supporters, I just am so grateful that you are here, that you're listening. Please know that you're tuning in. This is an act of co-creation. I'm not just talking from my own experience. I'm really tuning in to the energy of this collective. So the more you tune in, the more likely you are to hear something that's relevant to you in these messages. And I'm just so grateful and I'm having so much fun. So thank you. Happy Wednesday, and I will see you on Friday.